Hello, everyone.
There's more extreme rainfall, heavy flooding, forest fires.
The Vatican archive, it will take centuries to be deciphered.
Air pollution is one of the major problems which Delhi people are facing.
Antibiotic resistance is everywhere. If we don't act today, we'll have 10 million deaths per year by 2050.
What I'm excited the most about machine learning is that it enabled us to solve problems that up to 10, 15 years ago we thought unsolvable.
Deep learning is almost perfectly poised for problems in climate science.
We can use machine learning in treatment and management of these respiratory diseases.
Using TensorFlow, we can tackle things we never thought that we could tackle. That's incredible.
We've shown that with a high productivity framework such as TensorFlow, you can get to massive scale and you can get awesome performance and accomplish your goals.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Africa Machine Learning Days. My name is Anitha Vijayakumar, and I am the Technical Project Manager for TensorFlow. Thank you for tuning in. While we can't meet in person, we are hoping these virtual events are more accessible than before, and I'm really excited to be here with all of you. A lot has happened around the world. We are living through a global pandemic. Most of us are experiencing changing personal circumstances and very different ways of working that we did not imagine. In times of uncertainty, it is core to who we are to turn to technology like machine learning to help. We have found comfort in knowing that we are part of an infrastructure for the world that has the ability to help others. For example, within Google during these times, we have seen how TensorFlow played a timely role in supporting Google Meet, our video conferencing software. You can see it being used as an education platform at the bottom or middle photo. TensorFlow helps software adapt to changing bandwidth and enhances picture quality, since making Meet's advanced features free for all users. In March, we have seen the usage grow by 30x with Meet hosting 3 billion minutes of video meetings daily. Five years ago, we opened TensorFlow to accelerate machine learning research and empower developers around the world to build AI applications. Since then, TensorFlow has expanded into a vast community of tools and frameworks that help you along your developer journey. Our community has seen incredible growth. TensorFlow alone has crossed 300 million downloads, 52 million tutorials and guides, more than 9 million articles read on the TensorFlow blog, and 10 million views on YouTube. And I'm also excited to announce that we've passed the 1 million learners mark in Coursera and Udacity. We are so proud of our wonderful community. So on behalf of the whole team, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you. We have some exciting new updates that we want to share with you. And so let's get started. 18 months ago, we released TensorFlow 2, a new API that's easier to use, scale, and deploy everywhere. Since then, we've been hard at work to improve TensorFlow 2, listening to your feedback, adding new features, but also focusing on stability, usability, and performance. And what's particularly exciting to me is that TensorFlow 2 powers cutting-edge research and brings to the real hands-on APIs and developers can use without deep domain learning expertise. That's the true power of a platform like TensorFlow. As I mentioned, TensorFlow is an ecosystem, and the goal is to make ML easier at every stage, from creating new models to analyzing models and even deploying them on a variety of runtimes, with tools that span the entire developer lifecycle from creation to deployment, keeping responsible AI front and center, and all of this being powered and driven by the needs of our community. So let's look at the first part of this, where you create models. Generally, if you're creating models, there is a life cycle that you go through. You may want to reuse existing work, check for existing models in the TensorFlow Hub, which gives you a repository of over 10,000 pre-trained models that you can train and build on. You will need to work with data, which is the lifeblood of any AI system, and we have tools to help you discover exciting data sets and even easily manage the ones that you already have. Tooling is very important, and we want to give you the best of breed of tools for training all sized models. And when it comes to training, we've been investing heavily in Keras, as this is the easiest way to build models. And this is important because most of us don't get it right the first time, and we will need to tweak, optimize, or fine-tune our code. Let's look at some of the things we are working on in this space, starting with discovery. With the new improvements we've made to TensorFlow Hub, you can test your models by dragging and dropping them directly into the browser. As we discovered models, it gives you the ability to test your models in the browser without building anything yourself. Understanding your data is a critical step in building a model. It is also central in identifying potential sources of bias. To help you do that, we announced a new dataset exploration tool called as Know Your Data. Know Your Data is a web-based tool that helps you understand rich data sets such as images and text and seamlessly export them to spot potential biases or imbalances as part of your workflow. We will be sharing more about responsible AI later in this talk. Now that you have your model, we understand your data, the next step is to start training. Training your model often needs you to take the same set of steps, loading your data, defining your features, your labels, etc. And what if these steps could be automated? With that in mind, we built what is called as the TensorFlow Lite Model Maker. The goal here is to simplify the process of training or retraining a model using your custom data by automating these common steps. With Model Maker, all you need is just a few lines of code using your data. We've done a lot of work on tooling, and I touched just on one of them called the Model Maker. Now, moving on to analyzing of models, which is basically understanding why a model behaves the way it does and how can it perform better. We have a suite of tools that help developers analyze these models. TensorBoard is a visualization toolkit to understand experiments. It helps you track metrics, visualize models, explore model parameters, embeddings, and a lot more. And the TensorFlow Profiler is designed to profile the execution of your TensorFlow code. Both of these are super helpful tools which offer up a host of useful information to developers. Moving on to optimization, the Model Optimization Toolkit is a suite of tools and techniques used to optimize models to run smaller and faster, such as quantization and pruning. Note that these techniques are often really important when the models are running on device with constrained capabilities. After analysis and optimization, it's time to think about deployment. Deployment can be on mobile phones, servers, browsers, and many more surfaces. I will talk about server deployment a little later, but first let's walk through what it takes to put models on devices and and phones. The number of edge devices continues to increase, and they're becoming more and more powerful, and we've seen a ton of innovative features using ML on the edge being built. That said, we work with a diverse set of developers, some of whom are just starting out and need off-the-shelf solutions, while others are far more sophisticated. Their hardware needs also can vary greatly, from the latest powerful mobile phones to tiny microcontrollers. TensorFlow Lite is an open-source machine learning framework for on-device inference that is used widely for powering on-device ML on all of Google's apps, as well as for powering popular external apps, and it's used by more than 4 billion devices and even runs on microcontrollers. MLKit makes it easy for mobile developers to use on-device ML in their apps to cover common use cases. It is used in many apps and has over 500 million active monthly users. TensorFlow.js is a machine learning library that allows you to deploy ML in your browsers and with Node.js backends. On TensorFlow Lite, we continue to work on making performance better, conversion easier, and improve the ease of use via high-level task libraries and APIs. In addition, we are also adding on-device training capabilities later this year. We are adding the TensorFlow Lite runtime into Google Play services, which means if you integrate your app with TensorFlow Lite, you will have no additional APK size increase. The next is, let's talk about responsible AI. Keeping responsible AI top of mind in everything that you do when building AI and ML solutions is extremely important. Responsible AI is a set of principles and practices that helps guide developers in building AI for everyone. We mentioned the Know Your Data tool earlier, but we've also offered many other tools to help you integrate responsible AI into your machine learning workflow, like fairness indicators, which generate metrics for transparency reporting to help you make better decisions about how to deploy models responsibly. This tool is part of the TensorFlow model analysis component, which lets you evaluate model performance sliced across different user groups and deep dive into individual slices to explore the root cause and opportunities for improvement. And finally, I will talk about the most important part of what we are building, and that is our community. Beyond product updates, at the heart of what we do is bring people together from all over the world to solve AI and ML challenges. These photos look a little different, but they make us more proud than ever. And it has been great to see what our TensorFlow user groups have been up to, from ML challenges to show and tells to content viewing parties. The Sub-Saharan African user group hosted a TensorFlow Everywhere event and has over 500 subscribers currently. As we wrap up this year, we want to share how you can get involved in these events and community groups. Since we launched TensorFlow, you have organized special interest groups, contributed to our open source projects, and shared your models and data with one another. And this past year, we found a way to connect virtually all over the world, like our TensorFlow Everywhere events. We love connecting with our community, and we can't wait until we can all get back on the road together for these in-person workshops and events. Until then, we want to help you connect better with one another. To help with that, we just launched the new TensorFlow Forum to promote dialogue and give you a platform to share ideas, inspiration, and best practices. So please join us at discuss.tensorflow.org. We also invested a lot in education, and I'm extremely proud to say we passed the 1 million learners mark. You can visit the Learn ML page on tensorflow.org to explore books, courses, and videos to help you improve your knowledge of machine learning, and to learn how to apply ML to your projects with TensorFlow. When you're ready to showcase your proficiency in building models, you can take our certification exam. A year ago, we launched the TensorFlow Developer Certificate, and since then, more than 3,000 developers from over 80 countries are certified. We have 48 developers from Africa who are certified, and a huge congratulations to all of you, and we would love to see that number grow. You can share your expertise with the world by displaying your certificate on LinkedIn, GitHub, or on the TensorFlow Certificate Network. Speaking of the certificate program, we launched this at the Developer Summit in March, and we have had over 1,000 people spanning 53 countries pass this exam. This exam is created by the TensorFlow team, covering topics such as text classification, computer vision, sequences, and prediction. And to widen access to people of diverse backgrounds and experiences, we are excited to offer a limited number of stipends to help cover the certification cost. We are hearing great feedback, including Fran, who lost her job during the pandemic, helped boost her resume with the TensorFlow certificate program. Fran is now a conversational AI engineer and has been at Google for over 6 months. If you haven't already taken the exam, I encourage you to review the skills checklist on the tensorflow.org certificate and see if this exam is right for you, as you can continue your journey as an ML developer. And don't forget, we have the stipend program where you can apply and get a reduced fee. Another question we often get is, how do we get started with the community or meet people to start projects? The first thing you can do is reach out to our Google Developer Experts, or GDEs. We love our 167 GDEs, and they give tech talks, run workshops, shoot videos, and write articles for developers worldwide. In 2020 in particular, the GDEs expanded their effort towards developmental project that the AI versus COVID project released a very large COVID-related data set. Another way to get involved is through the special interest groups. SIGs are there to help build areas of TensorFlow that you care most about. We have 14 SIGs with TFJS and recommenders being the latest additions. Most SIGs are led by members of the open source community, such as our fantastic Google developer expert. One great way to connect is to join the TensorFlow user group. We have 140 user groups in 33 countries, and there are more than 7 TensorFlow user groups in Africa. Even with the pandemic situation in 2020, our communities have remained really strong. For example, the Indian TensorFlow user group hosted a 4-day, 20-session event covering a wide range of areas, including mobile, web, production, and research. But what if there is no user group in the area that you live in? Why not create one? This is where a lot of folks in Morocco started a TensorFlow user group in 2019. 2 years later, the TensorFlow user group has over 700 members, and they just ran their TensorFlow Everywhere session and building a great machine learning community in Morocco. If you want to start a TensorFlow user group, get in touch with tfug-help@tensorflow.org, and we will be more than happy to help you. We have created specific initiatives to support the Black AI community. We are funding faculty and sharing content bundles to historically Black colleges and universities, and even having office hours with the TensorFlow team. We are providing donations to Black in AI and AI in Africa groups, as well as offering certificate stipends and course credits for all these groups. There are many ways you can connect, learn, and contribute. And thank you again for building such a wonderful and helpful TensorFlow community. We couldn't have done this without you. At the end of the day, we only provide the tools, and you create amazing experiences and have an impact on the world. So I want to say thank you for watching. And before I leave, I want you to leave with one final thought to show you what you have done to make the world a better place. And hearing these stories is what makes us really happy.
It's shocking walking through the fields seeing the devastation. When fall armyworm attacked, it affected everyone. I've met farmers who have lost everything. The problem is not just in Uganda or Africa. And if we don't act now, many may be at risk of hunger. When I was younger, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then I discovered app development, and I was excited to show people something they never thought possible. It's hard to ignore the challenges farmers face in Uganda, so I want to use my skills as a software developer to help.
Ekigambo kulima ye kituwa ekyakulya. Ate okulima nkusanyukira nnyo kubanga ssebo mwe tufuna ekyokulya ne tufunamu akasente ne tusomesa abaana. Kati na buli omu ali kukaabawukawukaako. Naye akantu ako tekayinza kumalawo olwadde olwo ssebo. Teri n'omu amanyi eddagala eriyinza okukola ki? Kukatta.
At a Google Study Jam, we taught ourselves TensorFlow. We started by building an Android app on top of an open source API. The app allows farmers to spot infestations early, far beyond the capability of human eyes. And this is when we realized machine learning was the key to helping farmers.
Our mission is to ensure this technology can reach to the last farmer in the field. If it's everywhere, why not in the farm? So.
The belief I have that when I start something, I should finish it comes from my mother. So much comes from her. Entering technology, I've come across people say being in tech is not for women. When someone says I can't do something, I always try to make sure I can do it, just to prove them wrong.
mu famire tuli balimi kuviira ddala ku jjajja paka ku nze. Okulima ekigenda okutulemesa y'ebiwuka ebirya kasooli. N'ebbaati nazimba ate okulima nkusanyukira nnyo kubanga kati nze wensula nsulira ddala walungi ennyumba yange nga tetoonya kunkyusizaamu kubanga taata oba jjajja teyalina ennyumba y'ebbaati. Kale abaana bange baagala nnyo kulima nga nze wekwagala oba jjajja nga oluyatuyigirizanga. Tulina essuubi ne tufuna embeera ennungi mu kulima.
We've started to introduce our app to farmers. Our app can determine if a crop is infested with fall armyworm in real time. The app also suggests the appropriate treatment depending on the life cycle of the pest, ultimately saving harvests and reducing pesticides. Letting people know there is a chance to defeat these pests is now our biggest challenge.
Muinako engeri gye muli mu kusomesa abantu baffe abakadde okubeera nga bakozesa smartphones ezo n'okubeera nga ba
kati abavubuka bonna bwe banavaayo mu bulimi tunaakola tutya? Nation yonna enaasigala awo nga tetulina kyakulya. Ezo z'ensonga one of the reasons lwaki twayingira so much mu agriculture nti omulimi ali eyo waba asimbye emmere ye, season waba asimbye emmere, obuwuka ne bujja n'obulwadde ne bujja ne bumalawo emmere eyo yonna. Ye yekka si agenda okufuna ebizibu nti.
We are just getting started, and there are so many other sectors like health and education that machine learning could really improve. Eliminating fall armyworm is difficult right now. It's something that has not been done before, but it doesn't mean it can't be done. We've already started to see the difference we can make by working together as a community. Farming is a crucial aspect of life in Uganda, and I feel proud. I'm part of a team driving to ensure our culture can continue.
Thank you, and find your community and send us your stories, and we would love to hear about the amazing things you do to change the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Inspiring and touching video, and also inspiring talk. Thank you very much, Anita. We have some questions from the audience. So the first question is, so TensorFlow seems to have lost a lot of its popularity against some competitors. What is Google trying to do to regain such popularity?
We think that the strength of ML is in the ecosystem. It's the debugging tools that you built, the ability to apply it in production, the ability to scale it for on-device. The whole ecosystem is what we are looking at, not just the training library. And I think as ML becomes more and more widespread, model developers will become one small community who will write models, and majority of the users will be users using these models either from model repos like the Hub, deploying it on device, and going through a whole bunch of features like this. So I do believe ML is much bigger than TensorFlow, and I do think the strength is in the ML ecosystem, and the ecosystem is what makes TensorFlow great, or the TensorFlow ecosystem great. And I believe that it's doing really well in that space.
All right, thanks very much. There was a slide where you showed the certifications of the TensorFlow modules from around the world. And I can't help but notice that most of the, there might have been like 3 countries in Africa out of 54 that had this kind of certifications. My question is, what is Google trying, how is Google trying to reach more audience, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa and in North Africa?
Sub-Saharan Africa and all of Africa is very, very important to us. In fact, Google was actually the first company to set up a center for research and AI development in Accra. And we are hiring in the Accra team. We are building that team. We want to encourage this happen more and more. We had we are reaching out to other countries too, so we can actually expand and do a much better job over here.
Thank you. In the video,
we need help in the community to,
I
spread
agree.
this.
I agree. It's also part of our responsibility to deliver such message, right? I've seen in the video that she was trying to provide a solution, but part of the solution was educating the adults in using these technologies, right? Because at the moment, the technology pace is way faster than what the elderly can handle. How can we close this technological gap between them so that we can actually build solutions that are effective for the community?
That's a very valid question. Even having my parents and others use technology sometimes is a challenge, and making them, use it for useful things. But that is changing rapidly. I think ML development is at the beginning of the, big leap that it's going to take. And one of the main things that we have to do is make it easily accessible, right? If you look at your mobile phone today and if you download an app, what are you doing basically is upgrading software, deleting the old software. And if some of you were used to Linux and Unix cases, imagine updating an OS, updating a Linux desktop, getting everything to work with all the drivers. That was probably one day of work or a few hours of work gone. And now you do it with a click of a button and you've made it so accessible. So I think getting ML into that stage is what is going to change and make it real. Everybody has access to smartphones. So how can you make it like a simple app that people can be aware? And there's also a lot of, education and awareness and getting help from the younger children or at schools, making technology as something that all kids learn as they go graduate high school, so they know how to use these things. So making that accessible, there's still a long way to go. And I think we have to probably do a much better job in making sure all our, the entire community and the entire country and the entire world can actually access these things. But I am confident that we can get there.